أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وآل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين Muhammad وآل Muhammad. Today we would like to, of course, as always, remember all of the families, all of the believers who helped organize the Majalis for Abba Abdullah, those who donated their time, their money, their energies, their efforts to helping us have a place here where we could keep the zikr of the Imam alive in America. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for them with preceded by a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كمديني أكرم تيقظ نحكي الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت. Now we would like to remember all of the shuhada that we've had over the last few months, years, in the tragedy that's befell Gaza, the attacks that have been on the wider Muslim community, most recently Iran and Lebanon, and the wider so-called war on terror that has basically been a war of terror against the Muslims around the world and not just Muslims, other mustad'afin, other weak people, other people have been taken advantage of. We want to remember all of those shuhada, starting with Shahid Sayyid Rahbar. Please give us salawat and then recite Surah Fatiha for him as well. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وقال موسى لأخيه هارون اخلفني في قومي واصلح. And Musa said to his brother, represent me in my people and do righteousness. So today we are going to talk about an important aspect of Imam Husayn's mission, which is an important aspect of the mission of all of the prophets, including Prophet Muhammad, and completing that mission, which is to be the representative of Allah on the earth. Now, human beings in general are representing Allah, the righteous human beings, and then representing Allah to them is the prophets or the imams. That we have that Allah said to the angels, إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة وإذ قال ربك للملائكة إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة. So Allah said to the angels that surely I am placing in the earth a representative. It's very interesting that the first prophet mentioned is also Prophet Adam, and then the first sifat that he's mentioned with is that he is going to be the representative of Allah on the earth. So it shows that immediately after Tawheed, immediately comes the Khilafat. So the first lesson that we're getting in the Quran, if you look at the Quran, first Allah says, it gives you the hint of where this is going to go in Surah Fatiha, that those who have, the blessing has been upon, meaning those who are following the Imam. Then Allah sorts them out, which type of people there are, that there's going to be mu'mineen who believe in the Quran and the books that came before it. There's going to be people who, no matter what you do, you warn them, you do not warn them, they do not believe. And then there's going to be another type of people who they show themselves when it's opportunistic to show belief, they show belief. When it's opportunistic to show kufr, they show kufr. And so the people are going to be in those divisions, those mixing truth and falsehood, those who believe and those who don't believe, no matter what you do. Then immediately it goes to the story of Adam, and the first lesson is about Khilafah. So for those of people who say, well, the Shias are bringing something from themselves, it's very interesting that immediately after dividing out what type of people are they're going to be, Allah immediately goes to Khilafah. There's going to be people who believe, and then it immediately starts talking about Khilafah. So meaning these people are going to believe in Wilayah. Those who really truly believe are going to believe in this concept of Khalifa, that there's going to be a person on the earth who represents God and is carrying out his instructions. So we look at this word, khalafa, kha, lam, fa, which appears in the Quran. We see that there's different synonyms that are getting used for this word, and this word is also used multitude of times in different meanings. So this lam, fa is appearing over 120 times. Another word that gets used is Imam, which is coming from the word Aleph, Mim, Mim, right? This one, it's used in its various forms. Imam, Imma, Ummah, is used about 120 times or so, a little bit more, a little less. Variations of the word wali is used about 230 or so times. And then a very interesting one, which is used only once in the meaning that we want, but used in two other places, which is naqib. And I thought ra'is would be used. It's never used other than its natural meaning. Ras, head. It's never used in the meaning of head man or something like that, which I found interesting. Then the other one, which is Malik and Mulk, king. Another word which people might think would be used that way would be sultan. Is not really used that way. It's never in the Quran. It's not used in the meaning of king. Has a similar meaning to the word king, but it's not used in the meaning of this person was made a sultan for men or something like this. Never appears. So let's first look at this word khalifa. It's used in different ways. One of them is what we just saw. Another one, its natural meaning is to come behind something, meaning that I say one thing, another thing. Someone says something else, meaning like your answer to me. It could be in the meaning of a person left something behind. Could be behind you, min khalfihim, something comes up from behind, it would be. Could be in a difference, like ikhtilaf al-layl wa nahar, meaning that this one's coming behind the other one or changing. This sometimes change. It sometimes comes in the meaning of change. Remain behind or leave behind. We have in the same one, which is like a few lines down from the same one, which is Musa said to represent me and my people. Lamma raja'a Musa. So when Musa came back, ila qawmihi ghadbanan asifa. He came back upset. Why? The people were worshiping a cow. Qala bi'sa ma khalaftumuni min ba'di. How evil is the thing that you did after me. That when I left, this is what you did after me. He's using the word after here. One thing that somehow gets lost on a lot of people is that this is not some hacky fadhi, some wasted speech for another qawm, and of course we wouldn't never do that. No, this is talking about, yes, this is what happened with Prophet Musa, but it's talking about what happened with the Qawm of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And and something which gets repeated afterwards again and again and again. So let's take a look at what the people went back to. So the people went back to idol worship after Musa. But exactly what type of idol worship? Materialism. That was their God. They were very materialistic. They lived in with the people of Fir'aun, and the people of Fir'aun at the time was the America of the world. The gold and the jewels and the this and the that, and they made a big show and pomp of what you had in this world. They would have the pyramids, and they would have statues of the kings, and they would have outfits, and they had nice cotton and linen clothing and X, Y, and Z, and the Bani Israel were wearing wool, and they were, which is itchy, and they admired these people so much. Even when they left, all they could think about is how to get back so they could be slaves again. That's what their ishkal was. Let's go back and go and be slaves again so that we can get the dunya. Even their perception of the deen was all in like even this perception now, which is the Bani Israel, the ones who followed the more spiritual message. These are the ones who, by and large, became Muslim over time. The ones who continued to follow dunya are the ones that we have, which are their students and sometimes even related to them of the Jews that we have now. Meaning there's still good people amongst them, but the deen itself is being practiced that way like the reason that they seem to think that everything is about Allah makes a rule and then I try to figure out how to beat it, as if there's no spirit and nothing behind it. But what was the issue that the Arabs had? What was their cow? Theirs was riyasa and trying to be in charge, and their love of their tribe over whatever Allah said. That even the Ansar, that when the Yahud wanted to stir them up against to create problems, they started singing the war songs of the past generations and getting them all worked up and Hamas about this, that, and the other. And their Jahiliyyah started coming out. But also, what should have been a hint for them is this is your nuqta dhaf. This is your weak point. Because that's what, like munafiqeen type people, they go and they see they ask you, do you want money? You say no. Do you want, women? You say no. Do you want this? They keep offering things until they finally hit the one that you want. Do you want a fancy car? You're like, oh yeah, that's my jam right there. That's what I'll leave my deen for. So for them, it was that. And they kind of gave it away. Even if you see how they try to argue against Imam Ali. One of their arguments is they talk to the Bani Hashim. They're like, it's enough for you that you have the Prophet of Allah. Meaning that you're going to be able to show off to us forever because the Prophet was one of you all. How can you also have the Khilafat? That was so they kind of gave away that was their motivation was. And even if it was, some of them wanted to personally be in charge, some of them just didn't want the Bani Hashim to be in charge. Like, how did the Aus and the Khazraj, the two tribes that were opposing the Quraysh, there was only a few members of the Quraysh in Saqifa, Bani Sa'diyah, there was only a few members of the Quraysh there. But Aus and the Khazraj, their fitna between themselves broke out. And they didn't want one of the other members to go ahead. That's how the Quraysh broke the Ansar. They didn't want one of their members to go ahead because they were being arrogant about their tribe. Then when they saw they lost the whole thing, then they were like, no, wait, let's get Amir al-Mu'mineen. But at that point, it was too late, So the Quraysh went and took everything from them. Why did the other people not support the Bani Hashim? There was other tribes there. They also, in their heart of hearts, had envy. And if they knew if the door got kicked open, maybe I have a shot at the title. This was it shows that this was their golden calf, that their love of their tribe. And this plague hits us now. A lot of times now it shows with the Sunni and Shia issue. It isn't actually an intellectual issue for most people. It's no, my group is Sunni, I'm from a Sunni family, so I'm Sunni. And they won't look past that. If I'm Shia, I'm supporting this because of this. You have some people not following, making taqleed to the most a'lam because I'm from this country and we follow, in my village, we follow this person, meaning that kind of blind loyalty. They might stumble into the taqleed of the right person. However, their motivation was not in the right place. So meaning that this is being repeated and it can now cause problems in the real world now. And each group of people, we're not picking on the Arabs, but each group of people has something like this. I always point out to my Americans, the one is American exceptionalism, thinking that you're better than other people because of where you were born. Oh, I have a blue passport, so I remember I had friends who they didn't want to be considered African because they're like, no, I'm African American. Mashallah, I have a blue. If someone tears it up and throws it away, then what are you? They didn't. Their intelligence didn't reach that far, you know. But each group, whether it's this, whether it's that, it's going to be something. Maybe it's money, maybe it's hubba riyasa, maybe it's something. You either as a group or as an individual. Maybe you, like, you know what, actually, I'm not really like that. Mashallah, I'm African American. However, mashallah, do not have any of this American exceptionalism. But that doesn't mean I don't have love of money. I might have some other golden cow, which is the thing that will make me to disobey the command of Allah. And as what happens is that particular weakness will show up again at the worst possible time if you don't take it out of your heart. Whatever that weakness is, whether it's money, whether it's this, whether it's that, whether it's the other, whether it's health. Some people, they're just cowardly. That particular weakness will show up at the worst possible time. That when the Imam needs you, you're going to be tested right in the area that you neglected. So if it's, oh, I like raha. Some people, that's this thing. You know, that's my dunyawi da'af. That's my dunyawi weakness. That I like everything to be easy. I like to just be chill. If it's hard, I don't want to do it. Some people are hizbibad. They like to be with whatever the group is. That's their weakness. They're mu'min and whatever until somehow, oh wait, I have to stand out like a sore thumb. They're not able to do that. That's their jihad. So we all have something. As aqwam, sometimes we have it as a group. We might all have a similar weakness. Sometimes you have it as a fard, as an individual. You have this particular weakness. You might not have the weakness of your group, but you may still have other weaknesses. This is why you have to always be muraqabah of yourself and paying attention to this concept that you may disobey your wali because of this weaknesses that we have. So we have talking about the exact same people. And Allah says that this is their issue. فَخَلَفَ, so using this word khalifa again, فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفًا, that after these group of people with the kitab and the nur and the prophets, and some of them obviously were mu'mineen, they did jihad and they built certain kingdoms and stuff like that. Warithul kitab, so they inherited the book. They had the deen, they had the shikl, they had the alams and the this and that and the other. يَأْخُذُونَ عَرَضَ هَذَا أَدْنَى. They took the world and what was going on in the dunya. So Allah is pointing out this was what their weakness is. They were dunyawi. They had strong hubba dunya and they understood their religion that way. Now, we look at the word, that another word which we use is malak, mulk. This is another issue of people. Why do they call malaika malaika? Because Allah owns them and they do what Allah says. They don't have something else. They have irada to some degree, but they're not like us. We can be forgetful and this and that and the other and do whatever we want to do and have some degree more of free will. Malaika, no. If Allah says bring the cloud, they bring the cloud. If Allah says bring it back, they bring it back. They don't fight with him. So we have another group of people, and they said that why are you going to give mulk to this other person and we have greater right for kingship than him? قالوا أنا يكون له ملكا علينا ونحن أحق بملك منه ولم يؤت سعة من مال. Again, they show the exact same trait. They said, how can you give kingship to him? In this meaning, authority, but also authority in the more physical sense. They looked at this wilaya, instead of looking at it as wilaya, they looked at it as just earthly authority. That's why they're calling it mulk. They're looking at it from this zawiya, from this corner, from this angle of the earthly power. How can you give it to him when he hasn't been given much money? They said, we have more right than him. And then the prophet, who was them talking about Talut, قالوا إن الله استفاه عليكم. Allah chose him over you. وزوده بسطة في العلم والجسم. So Allah has picked which traits he liked, that he had the physical characteristics of being able to fight, and he also had knowledge to be able to do what was right and wrong. Now, these people were looking at this from the perspective of wealth, that wealth should be the deciding factor. And the other part that they were looking at is from the worldly side of the authority, not the spiritual side. It's very interesting that the Bani Umayyah, Allah, they used to say things like this, like that when Abu Sufyan, when one of his relatives got to be Khalifa, he went to the grave of Hamza and was like, the mulk that your cousin fought us for has come into our hands. So they showing that this was how they saw it. They're like, oh, all of this prophethood and mu'jiza just went right over their head, in one ear and out right out the other. That it was just authority. You're claiming to be a prophet just to boss the people around and to have to control over the money. And then Yazid repeated this same thing in his poetry. That he was like Hashimi lil mulki lo'ibu. That the Hashemites made just played with the wahi and this, that, and the other, so they could be in charge, showing that this was how they looked at it. Now, please give it a salawat. Allahumma salli ala Now, the other word that we have to look at is now, which is very important, which comes very, very interestingly, this word Imam, or the jam of it, A'imma, comes 12 times in the Quran. And it's usually, I forgot to mention this, usually this Khalifa is coming with Ja'al. That inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa, meaning Allah is the one who establishes. So this phrase is repeated 8 times. That ja'al, which means that Allah placed or established, khilafat comes multiple times. And Imam also comes in at least 2 cases with this word ja'a, meaning Allah is placing. Because we also saw istafa used, meaning that chose, that Allah chose Adam and Nuh and Ibrahim over the world. And we have, I can even read it. Inna Allah istafa Adama wa Nuhan wa ala Ibrahim wa ala Imran. That Allah chose Adam and Nuh and Ibrahim over the rest of the world. What's the Many of us have heard this sentence that they when they talk about marry, they say Imra to Imran. Imran is the family name. I'm not sure if it's the Bible. They say the father's name was Wakim. I don't know what the Arabic equivalent would be, or maybe another one of his names was Imran. But Imran was the family name, meaning these descendants of Harun and Musa. This is when even they call her Ukhta Harun, meaning that she's basically saying she's Sayyida, right? So Allah chose these people, showing that this is something that Allah chooses. So when Allah's having mulk, and Allah's having khilafah, and Allah's having riyasa, and Allah's having nubuwah, this is something which is chosen. And some people try to make the argument that if it's so important, why isn't it mentioned? No, we're seeing it's mentioned hundreds of times in the Quran. That this is you have a hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, "Ana naba'ul adim wa ana sirat al-mustaqim." That I am the great news, alladhi hum fihi mukhtalifun, that they're disputing about, and I'm the straight path. No, Allah mentions it again and again and again, but it's mentioned in such a way that if you're not paying attention, you just walk right past it and don't get what it's saying. So this word Imam comes so many times. Let's take a little bit of time to look at what does this word Imam mean. And it's used in, one of them is right? Okay, so we have and people immediately jump to mother as if that's the sort of asli, original meaning. But also we have in the Quran that it calls the book That's used in multiple places. That the Quran is the please give salawat. Allahumma saliyatu Muhammad walil. It's used in 2 different ways in conjunction with the Quran. وَمِنْهُ آيَاتٌ مُحْكَمَاتٌ هُنْ الْكِتَابِ وَأُخَرُ مُتَشَابِهَاتٌ. That there are some ayahs which are clear, and these are the foundation of the book. Meaning this is the source of the book. This is the strong part. This is where you look up and you judge the other ayats which are not clear by these ayats which are clear and which are strong. So let's say that there's a word of ayat that you don't really know what it means, and you have another one which is Qul huwallahu ahad. You don't say, well, we're going to go to this not clear one and we're going to forget the clear one, which is called huwallahu ahad. No, you start there and then you say, well, this fits into that. We have another one, which also it's Yahmullah ma yasha, that Allah destroys what He wills. Wa yuthbitu, and He establishes. Wa indahu umul kitab. Now this isn't meaning that everything, the original book of what's supposed to be there, what's supposed to be and not be, is with Allah. So we see original, and then we see foundation. Yes, the word imam can mean in front of, and it's used as a verb, but it's the foundation of the community, and ummah, whereas we get a ummah is from that. And your mother, meaning that's your source, that's where you're from, is coming in that meaning. So the meaning mother is now in the side. It's a word derived from this other meaning, which of source. So when we use the word imam, it's also coming with ja'il. Inni ja'iluka linnasi imam, talking about Hazrat Ibrahim, that I am establishing you to the people as an imam. فَقَالْ وَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا, and we established them as imams, guiding by our will. So this word imam and this concept of imama is A, in the Quran, B, used 12 times, and also with this word ja'id, similar to khilafat. So these are looking at the same concept from different ways. And you had the word naqib, which Allah chose from the Bani Israel, 12. Naqib, which means ra'is, but it's coming from the word also to go forward. The one who goes forward and scouts something out is a naqib. Please give salawat. So now we want to now see that what are the role of the imam in this sense? Because we already know that they do hidayat and they do this and they do that and they do other. But this role as the leadership, what is that role specifically? This leadership aspect of it. They are to, first of all, carry out the rules of Allah. That said Dawood, that Allah says, I'm making you a khalifa, fahkum bayna nas bil haq. So you're a khalifa, so rule amongst the people with truth. So they carry out the rules. So this is not looking at the akhlaqi aspect. We're talking about the actual rulership aspect. To organize the people. You do this and you do that and you do the other. Dividing out wealth. This is for this person, this is for that person, like Hazrat Yusuf did. To represent the ideals of the people. That someone goes first, we all have to come and, we have like, mubahala or something. Someone has to come and stand before and say, I am representing these people. Your imam does that for you. To break up disputes. Sometimes some of the Muslims are saying this, some of the Muslims are saying that. You have an imam for that. To defend the rights of the oppressed and to establish justice. To organize people and to lead them. And another important point is to be a rallying point for the community, like a flag. Now, these roles, we all see that the Prophet did all of these roles by his life. He created the ummah, he built the ummah, he rallied the people, he did all of these roles. But once he's gone, if you don't have the Prophet, then the people will disperse and you'll lose all of that energy. All of the energy will go here and there and everywhere. So it's extremely important to now put another person as your Khalifa in that leadership spot. This leadership spot is so important that even when people who were less than the Imam took that job, the Imam was very careful about trying to remove them. He would only do it if he had enough support that he could basically do it painlessly and kind of flip the pancake whole, if you want to use a metaphor. If it was going to break up, he wouldn't do it, just to show how important having that rallying point is. So the Imams now did this job, carried this on. But to take it into our time, if we just have a few minutes, we have the Marajeh who do that job in the absence of an Imam who's present. Because you have to have these things. They're not like, oh, well, we don't have the Imam, so we can just sit back and chill. No, it does. It's so important that even when Taghuts did, first of all, even that La Budda Nas min Amir al-Mu'mineen said that the people have to have some type of person. Anarchy is worse than that, is worse than a bad Imam. Right? So you don't have that. Even when they would have fira'in and stuff, they wouldn't just go and slip poison into their drink. Why? If you did that, it would cause anarchy. Meaning the people, now their rights aren't even, as a human being, you can't even live here. So this role has to be carried now we're directed by the imams towards these ulama of these very high caliber that they are overarching. But just to reel it down, a lot of people lose, and we're just going to take a little bit of time before we go to Karbala to look at this issue, is what is the role of the ulama who are not at that level? Is it just that they are just like any other person? Or are they at that level too? Or no, the local ulama, part-time Uber driver, and he also comes and he does some speeches. If you have the presence of, ayatollahs and things like that, then the ayatollahs can do the job, so they can just be amongst the rest of the people. Yes, they have some ihtiram. It's not going to be as important, right? However, if there is none, you're in a situation where, which actually happens most of the time. So you have one or two big maraja and you have local ulama. These jobs still need to get carried out on a local level to some degree. And it's important to make sure that the ulama, because they're more like a flag holder, the ulama have their respect in that spot for the same reason. You can't have anarchy. Sometimes people kind of lose track of that. They're like, well, we don't have, obviously we do taqleed, but then what do we know? They still do that particular job of being the rallying point, breaking up fights, organizing. Of course, they aren't able to do fatwa. So I kind of broke it down that you have the prophet who he brings wahi. He gives, besides the imamat and all of the akhlaq and all of these type of things that he does. Then the imam, he does everything except he brings you new wahi. He doesn't do that. Then you have the ulama, who they do everything that the imam did except that their word is not accepted without question. Meaning they have to, because the imam put shart on it. They have these big ulama. He said, oh, he has to be sani'un li nafsihi, hafizun li dinihi, alimun bi zaman. He said, XYZ conditions. Then then we pick from the top of that. The same condition applies to the sort of local ulama, the guys like me, Uber driver, right? That he has to still be sani'un li nafsi, hafizun li dinihi, all of this type of thing, but he still does a similar job in the place that he's in. And we have to have a certain amount of respect. And it's funny, some of the people do it culturally. They don't know why, they just do it. No, that's actually from the imams, that a lot of the jobs of the imams were carried out by the students of the imams or the students of the imams. That it keeps the society together. They keep the people all on one page. Yes, if it turns out one of them is bad, then you go find another one and take his spot. Or he turns out he's saying crazy stuff, you go and that's what we have the ulama, the high ulama for, to come up, which we have. One of the issues that we're having in Houston right now is somebody went rogue and started saying things he wasn't supposed to say. No, you don't follow them off of a cliff. That's one of the differences with the imam. We can follow them wherever. And ulama, he says something that sounds wrong, you can check with some other ulama and see this seems a little bit off. And you check it. So they don't have wilayat mutlaq or something like that. But that position of having a rallying point and stuff, even the local ulama and the Hujjatul Islams and these type of people still have that role. And if sometimes there's none of them, sometimes you still have a few abraz members of the community who have more knowledge than the rest of the people, then they have that role. Meaning like it never stops. There's always going to be some person who has that and represent the people, he can speak for them, stuff like that. You always have to have that because this condition of needing a wali and wilayat doesn't end. It's not like, oh, well, mashallah, I don't have Ayatollah Sistani here, so then we just go over and just go wild and every man for himself. No, we never get to that point. Even if there's two people, one of them should be the imam. If there's two of us, both of us are, however, okay, one guy has a little bit more knowledge of fiqh and qira'at and whatever, and so that one should be the imam of the other two if they're traveling together. So this is something which is extremely important and an important principle for us to understand, that this goes through Islam, and this is what holds us together. And one of the ways which protects the higher wilayat, the real wilayat, the wilayat of Allah, the wilayat of the Prophet, the wilayat of the Imams, is by having that respect for the sort of low level people. Meaning that if the Muslim Ibn Awsajah type people had been respected in Kufa, then Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad would never have any ideas and plans for Muslim ibn Aqil. If he couldn't, if the people were respecting the orders by these people were like students of the Imams and having respect for them and protect, because before they went after Muslim, they went after, I'm losing the name, but I think Hani ibn Urwa. First they beat him up, humiliated him, and when nobody came to his defense, then they're like, oh, okay, let's move on to bigger and better things. Then they went after Muslim ibn Aqil. Nobody came to his defense. Okay, maybe we can try our luck with Imam Husayn. Imagine if they went after the Hani, Hazrat Hani. If that had caused the people to throw a fit, they would have been like, well, actually, what we should do is we should negotiate and we'll do that. If you come after Muslim and Aqil and the people throw a riot, then they're like, okay, but if you let them do this, first they go and try this one, a low-hanging fruit. Nobody says anything. Okay, let's try something else. They take advantage. Oh, okay. You didn't say anything that. Okay, let's do this. Let's kill Muslim ibn Awsajah. Wait, are they gonna riot? Are they gonna stop? This is a prominent faqih. Okay, nothing. Okay, let's get Habib ibn Zahir. Okay, nobody said anything. Let's do this. Let's move it up. Now they just ratchet up the pressure. Why? Because the people were not responding to the low levels, so then you can get to the high levels. It's an important concept for us to remember. Now, we'll take a second to go to Karbala. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So now we come to, it's nearing the end on this terrible day. Imam Husayn is alone now. He's lost his friends. He's had to pull them back and bury them. He's lost his best of friends, the Muslim bin Awsajahs, the Hanis, the Hors, the Zuhair bin Khayn. He's lost his family. He's lost his nephews, person after person. And finally, he's lost Hazrat Abbas. And now he's alone on the battlefield. He's hot. He's thirsty. He's covered in blood and dust. He's still trying to call the people to the right path. He's still trying to get them to remember the message of Rasulullah. And he's asking these people who were trying to kill him, finally he calls out, Hal min yasirin yansurna, is there anyone to help us? And nobody answers this call. He calls again and again and again, is there anyone to help the family of the Prophet? And nobody answers his call. And finally, he hears something from behind him, which is the cry of an infant answering the call. This is the cry of Ali Asghar. The baby of Imam Husayn wants to help the Imam. Imam Husayn goes back to the tents and he says, he sees Ali. He's gasping. He's so thirsty, he's barely making noise. And he realizes he's about to die of thirst. So he says that maybe if these people don't have mercy on me, maybe they will have mercy on this poor baby. He takes the baby out, and the people see him coming with something wrapped in a sheet. They're like, maybe he's going to call us to the Quran, even though he already called them the Quran. Maybe he's going to call us to the Hadith, even though he already called them to the Hadith and the Sunnah. He unwraps it and it's a beautiful baby. And he says, this is the grandson of the Prophet. This is the grandson of Fatima. Is there any one of you who has some humanity left to give the baby some water? Even if I've done some crime, what is the crime of the baby? And he's dying of thirst. He's not going to last much longer. He says, please give him some water. And some of the enemies start to go forward. They said, well, this is just a baby. Let's go forward and let's give him some water. And Umar bin Saad and Yazid said, no, we have orders that we are not to give him one drop of water, not him nor anyone from his family. He said, if you think that maybe I will drink the water, I will put the baby down and I will go away far so that you can give the baby some water. So he puts the baby down. And Ali Asghar is sitting on the ground, and some of them, their humanity starts to stir within them, that they're like, let's go and give some of the baby some water. And some of them are saying, no, we have to follow the orders. And there starts to be confusion amongst the enemies. They're like, maybe we should give this baby some water. No, we shouldn't give the baby some water. Finally, Imam comes and he holds the baby up and said, look, you can see him. And when they see his face, they see that he's opening and closing his mouth. He's gasping. He's gasping his last breath. Their humanity starts to come back. They say we have to end this because if their humanity comes back for the baby, maybe they will fight for Imam Husayn. We should kill the baby. And he said, who will rise and will kill the baby? And everyone says no. And one man says, I will kill the baby. And her mother comes. And he gets his sharpest arrow. And he sees the baby, and Imam Hussein says, Ali Asghar is gasping, please give me some water for him. And he shoots the arrow. And it hits Imam Hussein. He goes through the neck of Ali Asghar, and the baby sticks to his neck. And he jumps when he gets in. Imam is covered in blood from his ear. He says, oh, Allah, help me. These cursed people killed my son. Their humanity is left to him. He says, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. He starts to go back, then he thinks about Zainab and the women. He said, I can't show them the baby is good. And then he starts to turn around, and then he says, I can't leave him out here. Then he tries to go back, and he goes back and forth. His heart's broken. His heart's broken. So he buries the baby in the battlefield. He said, سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون يا حسين.